Voor een buitenstander lijkt de community zo vanzelf te ontstaan. Terwijl eigenlijk komt er veel meer bij kijken. Zoals tijd, aandacht, maar vooral een gedeelde intentie. Het is van belang dat alle neuzen dezelfde kant op staat, richting dezelfde visie. En wanneer mensen met dezelfde intentie en dezelfde visie samenkomen en ze voegen allerlei ingrediënten toe, dan kan er zoiets ontzettend krachtigs ontstaan. En zo is dat ook bij Ananda Francophone. Ik was daar onlangs op bezoek in de zonnige Provence bij het Yogananda Self-Realization Festival. En daar ontmoette ik het powerkoppel achter de Ananda Francophone community, Janavi en Dharmananda. Deze twee mensen die zetten zich echt met hart en ziel in om de spirituele community gebaseerd op de teachings van Paramahansa Yogananda te laten groeien. In het interview dat wij van hen hebben afgenomen vertellen zij wat kriya heeft veranderd in hun leven. Hoe het hun inspireerde om een community op te richten. En hoe de spirituele beoefening hun ondersteunt in hun dagelijks leven. Daarnaast gaan ze ook nog in op Ananda Yoga en het verschil met het welbekende Hatha Yoga. Het interview wordt afgenomen door Darshan. Hij is de algemeen directeur van Ananda Sangha Europe. Kom, laten we gaan luisteren wat ze te vertellen hebben.
Okay, so I'd like to start with you, Dharmananda. I'm asking you, you have been sharing these teachings now for how many years, more or less?
About 4 years, I think.
4 years. And it has developed a lot. How did you start and where are you now? And what was your main service in this?
Well, I started studying and I saw that these tools are simple, easy and applicable by anybody. And I saw a need in my family, in my close family, for meditation and an openness for that. And so I offered meditation to my dear and near one. And then it expanded very naturally because friends heard about it and then joined, and so it works. And in that way we actually grew until we had to use YouTube, Zoom and YouTube, so that we can expand more.
You might say that you went from you expanded your biological family to a spiritual family.
Exactly, that's what happened.
And now we are at the Yogananda Fest.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second, I think, in this series. How did that come about?
Well, a year ago, a little more than that, you actually, I think, called her or wrote and said Asha could come to France to help you. And so the idea of having Asha in France was an opportunity to assess that we can meet in person and not only on Zoom, on YouTube, but that we can have a good reason to be together and be in the flow of the teachings of Master as transmitted by her, which we feel a very pure channel of Yogananda Swami Kriyananda.
Wonderful. And so that was last year. No, that was 2 years ago, I think. That was last year. And this is the second in the series.
Yes.
So one more question, then I'd like to ask something to Janavi. What do you observe? How do these teachings through you impact, change people's lives?
The first thing I see is people that are seeking a spiritual life begin to feel connected to others. And
family, like family.
They often send us a mail, we don't know them, but they speak to us like friends because they have been on YouTube and doing the guided meditation for maybe some months. So they're used to us and our way of working, speaking and transmitting Yogananda's teachings. And so there is this connection that is already there. And from that connection, many of them actually begin to do the path to kriya. So learning to meditate plus much more. And that brings them a totally new way of living.
Living their lives.
Deep transformation. Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing to be accompanying them in the process of transforming their life.
You have been their spiritual guides in a way, not only their teachers, but also giving them guidance.
There's surely an element of inspiration, spiritual inspiration there.
Thank you. Janavi, I want to ask you two questions. One about Kriya Yoga and one about Ananda Yoga. So let's start, since he said Kriya Yoga. He said, basically, you've been teaching a class, a series of courses that's called Path of Kriya Yoga.
Yes.
And so what does Kriya Yoga mean to you? And what have you observed? What happened over these past with the people who just received this Kriya Yoga during this weekend?
This week we've had 12 new Kriya bands being initiated in France, and they've gone through this process which actually lasted a lot longer than what it might have done initially, and that wasn't necessarily a bad thing for them, because they were really able to create their own little group, like a family, and go through the whole process together. The fact that it didn't take perhaps just 1 year, as it might have done had we already was in French, everything was being translated as we were going, actually turned out to be quite a blessing for them, because they were really able to create bonds and friendship that are now very deep, that we can see are extremely deep.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. You are also an Ananda Yoga teacher, not only a teacher, but also I think a teacher trainer, right?
Yes.
Because you train people online also to become teachers. So what do you observe there? You've been teaching Ananda Yoga, giving Ananda Yoga sessions, classes for many years now. How does that affect you and other people? And what is the difference between Ananda Yoga and normal yoga?
Okay, I'll start with that, and then you remind me what the other one is. Ananda Yoga is a very specific type of Hatha Yoga, where we work with the perception of energy in the body. So we are really taking the time to move between pose to pose, and there isn't a sense of rush to get through a series of poses as quickly as possible, or to attain a state of what one might consider a perfect pose. But it's really the effect of moving through a series of poses in a methodical and purposeful manner that has an effect on obviously on the body. It has a wonderful effect on the body, on the breath, but also on the mind and the spirit.
Beautiful. And the teacher's training, how did that happen?
I started the teacher training myself at the same time as I was personally doing the Path to Kriya course, where it was everything just sort of fit in really. So that's how I did it. And then when I finished the teacher training myself, the teachers at the village asked me if I wanted to continue working with them, but this time on the other side of the camera.
Okay. So first I'll ask you, and then we're going back to Dharmananda. So, you've seen this work growing a lot over the past 4 years, and especially we've used the word family a lot, right? And we're in France. Let's say we are in French-speaking Europe. Okay. So how do you feel this will further expand? What are your next steps, if there are any? I guess there are.
I think this event was really, in a way, perceived to help us to define those next steps. I can't say that everything is perfectly clear at the moment, but we're certainly very much attentive and tuning into what we feel the group that we have assembled would like to move towards. And also, I don't know, maybe you have something you want to say here about that.
I think this is true. This festival is also a way to see how we can expand in the French-speaking world, but also, as Nayasomi Devi said, how can we cross-pollinate? Meaning inviting people from different Ananda communities to bring their honey of self-realization together and contribute. So there is two aspects in that festival, but for the French development, or the French-speaking world, the development there is also an interesting thing happening now, is that we have a friend in Benin, the country in Africa, a French-speaking country also, and he was supposed to come, but for different reasons, visa, it was possible to get it on time. And so there is now this question mark in a way, why did this happen? And he's very involved, he's a very expansive soul. He already brought friends from Benin to try the teachings. So we see that it could go in ways that we didn't expect.
So you could travel there maybe even.
We could.
Who knows?
Who knows?
And how do you look at Ananda Sisi? So basically you are very international. Janavi is also British. So you're French, she's British, which makes the collaboration even more interesting from that point of view. I know you've received guidance from America through the path of kriya by translating it. And how is your bond with Ananda Sisi in all this?
Well, we see Ananda Sisi as really the source of what we receive. It's, of course, it's coming from the divine source, but through Ananda Sisi it reaches us, and we are available to expand. The more we can receive from that source directly, the more we are able to expand, being attuned to that. And so this is actually a realization that we have also this last month, is we have been quite on our own developing the work in France from an early age, because it was at the same moment that we got kriya, we began directly. So it was very young in a way in our Ananda life, but we see now and we understand that the more we can really be in the vibration of Ananda Sisi, the more we can be that vibration here and communicate it to the world.
Beautiful. When Swami Kriyananda came to Europe in 1980, the beginning of the early 80s in the previous century, so he thought maybe we can start in France, because he spoke very good French, right? He had been to a French boarding school, but it didn't happen. And then it started in Italy, and Germans were involved, and for many, many decades, nothing really happened in France. And we always thought, well, maybe Yogananda and this work is too devotional, and the French are more Buddhists, like more philosophy. And now, what have you observed is the entry for Yogananda, for these teachings into this country?
Which entry is it? The question. Well, surprisingly, after all the revolution and putting away religion, taking your own thinking and science as a new perspective of un point de repère, I see that if we speak about Christ without speaking about church, there is an openness that actually never died, but just was recovered by the fact that nobody could speak about Jesus Christ's teachings directly without,
referring to the church.
Without, maybe it happened, but in a way, France is, I think, waiting with a very strong devotion still for Christ's teachings, waiting for a way to understand these teachings without the decorum of the religion.
And that's what Yogananda tried to do. Yeah.
Exactly. Today I read something about this for the midday, and people came and asked for, this book and this passage, because this is what we need here. It's like to understand where is the treasure behind, the appearance.
Who is personally your favorite Christian saint?
My personal, well, I think Saint Teresa.
Avila or Lisieux?
Both.
The two Teresas.
Yes, I really feel devotion to both of them.
Thank you. And Janavi, so you are British, you're working in France. Do you also feel an particular interest with what's happening in England, because the work is also growing in England? Are you involved, or do you feel an interest? Are you connected with that?
What's wonderful with being part of this spiritual family is that we have regular meetings where we can meet with everybody in the European Sangha, as well as just meeting people when we go to Assisi. So when we had the most recent meeting in Spain, I had the chance to discuss with the UK group, and although I'm not directly a part of what they're doing, they did ask me questions about what we are doing, and that was just wonderful to exchange and give sort of feedback about what we've done and how things have worked, what didn't work. And so, yeah.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you.